Welcome back to Legends of Mana. So let's continue the fairy story arc in this part.
Lovely.
Unfortunately, after this part, we'll have to stop it for a bit. I think we're gonna reprise it in part 16 or something. But yeah, in the meantime, what we need to do next is to go back to the Gato Temple.
What time are you guys at? YouTube buffered a bit.
Go to 1 minute. And as well, you're just reaching the temple anyway.
Mm-hmm.
So if you need that again, recap after
now.
that. Alright, I'm almost there. So you need a recap after an abrupt ending of a previous quest. Now we know what happened previously, and we know that every character is an asshole in one way or the other. Matilda is a selfish bitch, Irwin is just a demon, Escad is a racist, and Daena is naive. Anyway, Jova. And
yeah, like I said,
I dare say Daena is a bit more than naive. I mean, look. I get that Escad is kind of a jerk, but the way she goes about it is so blind, and she seems to have messed up priorities. Like, seriously, she practically cusses out Escad, yet with Irwin, it's just, oh my god, you're evil? Please stop. It's like, oh, so he's the one you want to try and reason with. I mean, the problem is, like, well, she acts a bit too self-righteous for supposedly trying to find a solution.
Alright, here we go. Star-crossed lovers.
I was saying, it's basically what makes this game kind of a step down for something like Secret of Mana.
Wait, Daena?
Yeah.
How are you
She's still alive.
We should go, Matilda.
Well, wait, does she have wings on her back?
It's an ornament.
What? Why are we going?
Something ain't right.
No, Drova. Why shouldn't be alive?
Well, okay, look. The fact that the last time we saw her, she was being carried out by fairies who are apparently under Irwin's command.
Found a way very well. She went back here, and now she's trying to get Matilda to the temple in order to essentially send her to the land of the fairies, so that she can leave. She can prolong her life there and live with Irwin all the way she wants.
But isn't that kind of what Irwin wants?
Not really. Irwin is just interpreting literally Matilda's wishes, and Matilda's wishes were, I don't want this and I don't want this world. That means that equals complete destruction. So Daena is trying to find a solution that makes Matilda happy and at the same time protects the world. But unfortunately, Matilda is a bitch.
Why?
Because she steals. I get she had a hard childhood, but she's such a sociopathic asshole.
Really? So she didn't get better with age?
Well, sudden age, remember, as a consequence of getting her mental powers taken, she ages incredibly rapidly.
Which is
also
weird.
Remember, the older you get, the more you enter the state of I have no fucks left to give.
Yeah.
Here's the thing. Here's the weird thing, though. Last time we had a cutscene between her and clown guy, you know, the elemental, whatever his name is, where she actually does acknowledge that a lot of this is her fault for her whining and whinging. Yet she's apparently still doing it, even though she apparently knows that it's the cause of the problem. I know what I did was wrong. I know that I caused a lot of this tragedy, but I'm gonna continue doing it.
There you go. You want more assholishness? Matilda doesn't even want Escad to kill Irwin. Like,
what?
I'm
Matilda!
sorry.
Wait.
What is that you guys want, even?
I mean, look, again, I'm sorry. I'm siding with Escad here. Like, okay, look. Even if Irwin has some tragic backstory to him,
That's the problem. That's the problem. Escad is taking these too violently despite having the better ideas.
And I'm sorry. There needs to be more to Irwin than that cutscene we've seen of the past to warrant him doing all this stuff. Like, seriously, even if Escad is being racist, it seems like it's racism that kind of has a point of origin here. I mean, you know, if every demon he's associated with acts like Irwin, I can see why he may have a negative precaution about demons like Irwin. And even still, we have not seen Irwin do anything really heroic here, so what reason do we have to be against Escad?
Well, remember, the fact that he was in love with Matilda, despite being a demon and everything and having to fulfill his own nature, made him desire to steal her mental powers in order to, accomplish. About being a demon, he he had time essentially to understand the emotions.
Like
That's
I
as
said,
basic and stupid as it gets.
like I said already, Tio,
Yeah.
that's the equivalent of a psychologist, a trained
Hello
psychologist
there.
being swayed by his patient.
Oh. It's like I was trying to say, that's one of the things that makes this game kind of a step down from something like Secret of Mana, because Secret of Mana had wonderful characters.
Did Secret of
This
Mana
ga-
come
th-
before or
this game-
after?
Yeah, before. It
Before,
also had
before.
it also had a simpler linear single story. Well, this is just a single story arc in a group of different story arcs.
Where Secret of Mana is one of the best JRPGs ever made, whereas this game has a really interesting world, but it falters a lot in the character writing. Like
I wouldn't say that, all the characters are faltering. It's also a matter of how, well, okay, it's notable that the story here is not exactly at the forefront. But this is kind of an issue because, well, a lot of these quests are incredibly story-based as opposed to character-based, because the characters tend to go along with the roles of the stories, not to mention the fact that the three main plot lines even tend to intersect. That's not to say that you don't have more character-based side quests here and there, but this is definitely going for a more story-based thing in a JRPG where the story is, again, not at the forefront, because, again, you can pretty much complete this game almost any way you want to. The only thing that stays the same is the ending here. Like, okay, look, at least with Breath of the Wild, they were honest from the get-go that game's story was never going to be its strongest point, because essentially you could pull a Zelda 1 and skip to the final dungeon with it.
That's just a thing, Jova. Well, if you allow me, like, allow me to disagree, because remember, in the Nintendo Switch revealing conference, one of the things that I remember, they even showed that scene where Zelda literally cries in Link's shoulder. So even in the trailers, they were kind of making it look like there was going to be a step up, even from Skyward. Okay, Scott.
Well,
Not just in that one
hold on,
trailer
hold on.
either.
Oh, I think I get what you're getting at. Okay. Well, I'm not saying that that they said the story was gonna be amazing or anything. What I'm saying is well, they didn't suggest that that the story was gonna be, the main drawing point of Zelda. I mean, and I will give them this. Okay. Narrative-wise, Breath of the Wild is actually pretty good. Yes, I appreciate the presence of voice acting, and while I will admit the story is not the best, the scenes in and of themselves sustain it. Like, seriously, scenes like Link actually cross-dressing as a Gerudo were very well funny and thought out. And
I'll
yes,
just say this,
yes, that's now another thing we can compare Link with Cloud on. My point, though, is whereas Breath of the Wild was definitely telling well-thought-out stories here with, good enough characters, except for that freaking jerk of a king, Never mind.
Yeah.
But despite Breath of the Wild's shortcomings, it at least felt like you could create your own story of sorts, Yeah, that's sort of why the story wasn't the strongest point, because, they kind of left some things vague enough so that you could piece together your own story, because, again, it's a game where you can essentially skip most of the dungeons to the final one. Calamity Ganon, I'll admit I don't care for, but, again, story thing. Whereas this game, on the other hand, the story is... Okay. Well, for one thing, this game suffers a problem that a lot of games of this time did with how cryptic and continuing certain side quests can be, and how the story order will go. That, and again, because a lot of these quests
It asks for experimentation, Jova, ultimately, at least for a first runner. It does ask you to just go do whatever you want, and then later retries trying to a more cohesive run.
Yeah, for instance, this is quite possibly the most fluid we're gonna see of this game with all this content, because, Tio, you're well-versed with this game, I'm guessing.
Yes.
Whereas, imagine, say, any other random person who's never played this game before.
Dweebs.
Yeah, dweebs.
Yes.
Imagine
No, yes, if Dweebs came around of this game, and I did not say anything about it, and he knew nothing about it. He will be, as I mentioned, he will be immediately thrown off, but for good reason, honestly.
Okay, look, there actually is a good idea here, this sort of sandbox-esque world where you can, again, sort of write your own story, do stuff the way you want to. Similar to Breath of the Wild, but unlike Breath of the Wild, there's such intricate plot quests that lead up to one another that you have to complete, which means essentially you have to complete one of these main quests, and chances are you're going to run across a quest from another plot, so then you're wondering, oh, well, what's going on in that? But then, oh, you have to do random guesswork here and there. I mean, again, I like the idea here, but it comes a point where it risks not being fun. And story-wise, well, okay.
To be fair, Joe, only a selective few and only optional of the side quest can be lost forever, and like only like 2 or 3 over the 60 plus that there are.
That said, that stuff still kind of sucks. Again,
Hold on,
now
we're about to get on to actually important scene now, because if you didn't pay attention, Irwin and Matilda met again and they confirmed what essentially said. But now it's time to resolve the the quarrel between Daena and Escad.
Did Irwin whisk Matilda away to these ruins?
Yes.
You have become a demon like him, Daena. Also, cat people can become demons.
No, it's Escad that's going mad for these boiling blood thing.
Jerry?
Right?
Yes,
Of
yes,
course
she's
you are.
good.
There's a difference between any of us.
Yeah.
What's going on here?
I need to join one of the two in order to kill the other. And if I say that I want to take a third options, you cannot do that. One of the character you have most affinity with will call you out and fight against.
I'm almost surprised you didn't side with Escad here, because look, I'm gonna be.
I already told you what I think of the morality of this group, so I'm going with the lesser evil, which for me is Daena.
I guess for me the lesser evil is Escad, because yeah, he's been a jerk, but for most. But when you actually get down to it, almost every cutscene
Violence
involved.
like him is never the answer. That's what I think.
Oh, okay, the violence thing. I mean, I
Honestly,
guess.
again, Jova, it's the right idea, just to extremize and brutalize.
Which one? Both of them have that issue. Whereas Daena, I get it, trying to talk out to a solution, but then
She's just naive and pretty much stupid in thinking that a solution like that can work with like so demons.
Which is kind of a shame, because when you think about it, this could make for an interesting.
And we go, Escad said.
Seriously?
Yeah, depending on who gets killed here, we'll get a different scene later on. And right now.
Matilda.
Oh no, not.
Not Matilda.
Did Irwin whisk her away here? How'd she get here?
Where's Irwin?
Remember, they got teleported by Irwin.
I don't know.
Okay. Why didn't he just teleport only Matilda?
He
Oh,
needs
wait.
to go to the land of fairies.
He has plans for them, doesn't he?
Yeah.
Not
I'm
What?
Thanks.
We just came here to
Again.
rescue you, We killed Escad for your
But
sake.
why? Where did Irwin go?
Like,
Oh, don't tell me.
You were being so concerned about.
I really didn't need your help.
also, that's not answering the question.
Seeing Irwin is good enough.
No.
I know much better.
Don't you even dare think about doing
yeah,
it.
there you go. Very good.
No, that's not good enough.
Again, she just killed a long-lost friend. Well, not... Yeah, long-lost. A friend who'd spend most
Tell
of
me
his
the
time
truth.
in hell because of
Not
Irwin.
just that, Jova. As you remember, the stakes of the world are on the plate, and Matilda is doing everything she can, pretty much, to cause apocalypse.
So you're telling me that the least popular story is the one that's most connected to the actual ending of this game?
No, yes and no. All three are connected somehow.
But this one's
Yeah,
the
you-
most connected, I'm guessing.
No, it's just the one that you come across the easiest. The first one you come across immediately, as I mentioned, is the one of the Jumi. But it takes a lot more in order to complete it full, because it has the most quest tied to it, and it has the most ramified story with the different characters.
Irwin will go and bring catastrophe without you. Daena, he's been doing it even with her around. Pedro?
Alright, Daena, Irwin and I, if it decides to destroy this world, I will gladly accept it.
Oh my!
Thank you.
Okay!
Wow,
Or else-
Wow,
I don't like you.
you just... Okay,
I don't care what happens to the world.
I'm sorry to you, but, at least with Elise, she held the fate of the world in her own hands. She wasn't like, I'd rather Solaris destroy the world. She was more so just about it being selfish. Matilda, on the other hand, is perfectly fine with everyone dying just because she thinks she's good enough.
Not just that, and
wow.
because she's craving some hot red demon dick. What a bitch.
So I gotta know, what's Escad's reaction to all this if you choose him?
I haven't actually tried on my own because I always pick Daena for this. I never try for the sake of variety because I hate Escad's way of thinking so much.
I don't think I've chosen it either. It's been years since I played this game.
How ironic.
I remember, Jova, you need to pick a side with these two.
Again.
As much as I like taking third options, it's not the case on this.
Yeah, I mean, again, I guess for me, I'd go with Escad because, yes, violence is not the answer. The problem is that, in Escad's case, he kind of has a pretty good reason to turn to violence, considering everything that's happened to him and his friends.
Even in appearance, Jova, if you see, Escad could be, in appearance, he reminds me a bit of Cecil in his paladin form. In another JRPG, could easily be the hero of that story. I think they wanted to go for a sort of a Gaston-like figure.
Not to mention that, it's really funny when, games like this bring up a whole fighting is wrong thing when you spend the majority of the time kind of killing enemies with your weapons.
Yeah.
Like, that's another reason I'd side with Escad. Like, yes, violence is never the key. Now, will you please go kill that random drop from this giant hunted being that I want you to find in a quest? Like,
anyway, point is, Daena just wanted the two to be happy, but Matilda, being the bitch it is, she counteracts every single statement.
Wow, really? We will never be happy. Well, wow. Well, okay. Look, I don't condone suicide, but why? Okay. Why? Okay, how does destroying the world bring Matilda closer to Irwin?
No idea. But anyway, with this, it's the fate of the world at this point is sealed. Irwin is gonna awake a beast in order to destroy the world. And the next quest that we'll do, not immediately after this, but the next quest, which will be the last, the fairy arc, will be getting on top of that beast, find Irwin, and dispatching him for good.
Now shall I return to Gato? Bye.
Wow! Screw you! Screw you!
There you go, Jova.
The mana goddess has decided.
You want that connection? Remember, the mana tree and the mana goddess are the two forces that move the world.
By the way, Daena.
This cannot continue.
Oh,
Become as gods.
Oh, by the way, one more thing, Daena. Yeah, violence isn't always the key. Surely you could have just knocked out Escad in retaliation as opposed to killing him, huh? Like, oh my god, she's a hypocrite when you get down to it.
Well, Jova, that's what I meant. Every single character in this arc is unsavageable.
Okay, look, if it were Escad, he wouldn't be a hypocrite at least. Like, it makes sense, he's brutal here, but Daena, she just killed Escad. So, yeah, the whole no violence thing is out the window, you cat. That said, though, so basically, apparently, this route is the easiest one to get. Why is she still following us?
It's something that happens after the end of every side quest that I mentioned.
Right.
If you have a party, we will follow you until you get back home.
So, essentially, this storyline is the easiest one to get, huh?
It's the easiest one to get, but not the easiest one to complete. The easiest one to complete is the Dragon story arc, which has the least amount of quests, and they're all essentially connected to each other. You can, as soon as you find it, you can finish it, you can just breeze it through, which is, I think it's what I'm gonna do.
Huh, and here I was about to think that the writers were kind of self-aware of the quality of this storyline. It's weird, though. I mean, maybe it's because we haven't seen that much of the other two storylines. It's just, when you focus on this one storyline, oh boy. And yeah, that's kind of another fundamental issue with a game like this. Like, okay, let's say someone on their first experience ends up running with this storyline as the storyline that leads up and, pretty much takes care of the requirement to finish the storyline. Like, okay, if they're a big story enthusiast, how the heck do you think their impression of this game is gonna be when they actually think about this storyline?
Well, I can tell you mine, Jova. In my first run, the first, as I mentioned, the first quest that I completed was the one, the arc, was the one of the dragons. This one was the second I got to the fairy.
Oh yeah, I'm basically... Go on.
So my reactions were mostly mixed, essentially. Again, it's pretty much what I told you. I didn't like any of the characters. I thought the morals were all over the place.
Is that the case with the Dragon arc too?
No, the Dragon arc is for lack of a better term, simple. Like, maybe that's also his problem. He's very straightforward.
So from what I can gather, the arc that everyone really comes to this game for is the Jumi one.
Yes.
Huh. So it's Sonic
Honestly,
Adventure
the
2
game
before
should
Sonic
have been-
Adventure 2, although I'll
The game
admit...
should have been all about that.
Although, you know... Oh,
I
okay.
think Sonic Adventure 2 over this.
Yeah. And you know what? Contrary to what a lot of people think, I'm actually fine with all the gameplay styles of Adventure 2. I think the only thing that really screwed the pooch was how the treasure hunting levels were, like, seriously.
Yeah.
If Knuckles and Rouge had just been simple point A to point B levels, they'd have been fine. And you know what? I
Yeah.
actually do like the mech levels. Like, seriously. I never really got the inkling that they're bad.
Actually play that game too?
Yeah, remember I played both
Ah.
Sonic Adventure and Adventure 2
I was
HD
fine
and
with the
PS3
treasure
versions.
hunting in
Yeah.
SA1.
I
mean, I'm-
post some impressions on the SSMB as well.
The treasure hunting in SA1 is tolerable, but they had to break it for some reason.
You know, Adventure 2 would probably be fine if they had just done the one thing right and not removed, you know, being able to sense multiple emerald shards at the same time.
I just realized something. Dwebs, you've been kind of quiet. What is your take on this storyline that we just saw?
It's a storyline.
Wow.
And,
Usually it's you
Brilliant
who...
conclusion.
Weird, dude.
And
Usually
it's-
you're... Oh, sorry. Go on.
well, Jover's already got most of his thoughts out there, but honestly, the story's just kind of boring.
Huh. Weird. Usually you're the first one to hop on to
Well,
when JRPGs
by
do
that,
something stupid plot-wise.
When it comes to the morality of the characters, which one is the one you seem to agree the most?
I'll be honest, I've never really been that good at judging morality in these kinds of games.
So I'm
Mhm.
guessing... Well, okay, which one do you lean more towards?
I don't know. Again, it's hard for me to really care, considering the characters aren't really all that interesting.
Well, they're interesting, but in all the wrong ways. Like, oh my god, Matilda. Matilda's gotta be... And wait, does the
Again,
story
Matil-
expect us to like her?
Is there a third?
No.
Is there a third pathway where they all just die and we just move
Dwebs,
on?
that's my
Clo-
joke.
you're close, Dweebs, but I'll save that for the end of the story arc, trust me. Anyway,
that's my
this,
Fencer F joke. Dwebs, yours.
this is the second official quest we need to do with Niccolo, and need to get a special flowerling from the ruins, but I sped up because
Where do you
again,
get
the
this
dungeon.
track from?
Sonic 06 is the bold puzzle theme.
Yep.
Oh.
I actually do like this music track. I mean, God
It's
for
just
sake.
also-
Of all the 06 tracks you choose one of the more ones.
Hey, it's got a saxophone in it. It's got class.
Also, Dweebs, it's because of ruins.
True.
Remember, Dwebs, Joe
Ruins.
is a sucker for the saxophone.
Hey. Just because you use the saxophone does not mean it's gonna be good, as I established with Ghost Dad. What the heck is going on here?
Niccolo wanted to catch the flowerling,
no,
but
Zova.
nope.
Super Psychokinesis? Are we in Pokemon now?
Well, Joe, maybe just for you, if they ever make a Fair Fencer F2, maybe they'll replace the trumpeting with a saxophone theme.
Yes.
Okay,
Hey,
look,
I-
if the
actually,
track-
That
that's
would
ac-
ruin the
That's
saxophone.
actually a good point. There was no saxophone in any of the, lewd scenes.
Okay. You know what? If a saxophone track is good, it's good. Doesn't matter about the scene it's attached to, it'll still stay good. In fact, any bout of music, if it's good, will stay good. Even if it's attached
That's
to the
how I feel
portable
about
scenes.
violin.
People's liking of this track baffles me as much as people liking Aquatic Bass's music.
Okay. Now that I can agree with. I never did get the hype for Aquatic Bass. I mean, now that one I did find boring, Aquatic Bass.
I don't think anyone's ever hyped it up.
I need to listen it again to
Sonic
trust
Sonic
it.
all the
06 is-
time.
Sonic 06's level themes tend to be some of the less memorable ones of the 3D games.
Oh, come on.
Um,
Crisis City is memorable.
Well, I said 10. I didn't
And
say
I like
all
the
of them.
first level one.
Yeah,
Fair
we're
point.
watching is fine.
Well, that's because you heard it multiple times.
But, okay.
Is it-
But am I-
the sad part
Let
is that, like
Pedro
I've,
finish.
the sad part is that, like I've said before, even though the level themes are not as good as something like, say, Sonic Adventure or something like that, I still find the cutscene music to be the best in the series.
Some of it I find to be the best. I don't. I'm probably gonna be one of those weirdos who doesn't really care for most of the cutscene music.
Well, Memphis
I
has
can't
been
even remember all
seemed
of it.
chilling enough.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah,
I'll
I
be
love
honest,
Mephisto's theme, and I especially love the instrumental orchestral version of All Hail Shadow at the end of Shadow's story. Of course,
I'll
then
be
again,
honest.
Shadow's story tends to be the one thing I consider actual legit good in
Yes,
Sonic
please, sir.
06.
I'll be honest though, from what I can remember, half the cinematics either reused tracks from the level music, or have barely any music at all.
Really? I mean, a lot of them use Sonic's
Yeah, I mean,
theme.
I'm remembering cutscenes, and I can't remember having music placed to them.
Wow.
Well, the ones I'm talking
A lot
about.
of
All right.
cutscenes.
Since we're almost over with the game, dweebs, just read the
Well, crap.
the summing up. Then, at the end of the part. Sorry, Jova.
Well,
Okay.
well,
Niccolo tried to catch the psychokinetic whirling to make himself filthy rich, but he got away. I wish I was psychic, because I would use that power to write my diaries.
is this
Wow,
all you
total
think about,
laziness.
kid?
Also, yeah, this was the third quest, not the second. Sorry.
Also-
Anyway, finish what you said, Jova, so we can end the
Also,
part then.
wow, crap. I mean, that plot thread about the fairy arc really put us in such
Remember,
an
Jova,
off-putting set of sets that we kind of,
we'll
stop.
also have to forget for it about it because there will be some other minor quests in between this and the end of the fairy story arc.
that
So if you want to finish, your thoughts before?
I've said most of what I want to. The fairy arc is okay. Don't get me wrong; it's fun to.
No, the argument you were saying before about Sonic's tracks.
Oh,
Oh, it's kind of off topic though. Can we?
Okay,
Yeah.
yeah, sure. In the next
I
part,
like some,
we'll
don't like some. I don't really care for aquatic basin, even though a lot of people seem to. That's it.
Okay, in the next part, we'll actually meet another of Shiri's character, probably one of her favorites. See ya.
Goody.
Okay.
See ya.
See ya.
See ya.